Hello, welcome back to Amanda's Cozy Corner. I am so glad that you are back, or if you're new here, welcome. Today, I thought we would build a fall TBR. Here's the thing, TBRs and I generally don't get along. Putting a list of books together that I will actually commit to reading is very difficult, which sounds weird because I generally pick the books that I'm excited to read in the moment, but my problem is I'll read one or two of them and then not read the rest. So, yeah, but I think fall time is a little bit different in that the vibes just kind of linger, and it being October 1st tomorrow, there's no better time to set a fall TBR for like October and November than right now. So I've picked a few books that I just personally want to read no matter what I pick out of my prompt jar. If I can make them fit a prompt, great. If not, they're just gonna go on the TBR anyway. So let's just get started immediately by picking a couple of prompts from the TBR jar, and we'll go from there. Okay, pick number one is, how appropriate, a cozy book. So I have a couple of these picked out already that I think will work. I think, though, we will go with the first one that I thought of, which was Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies earlier this year. I loved it. I adored it. I cannot wait to dive back into this world. This is such a cozy read, but it's cozy and has plot, which is important because it helps me read them a little bit quicker, and I do want to do a lot of reading this fall. So we'll put down Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands as book one. Let's pick again. Let's go for a pink one this time. This is a graphic novel. This is also perfect because I didn't have any graphic novels selected, but I believe on my Libby I have the Apothecary Diaries, either 3 or 4, ready to borrow. So we'll put that one down for a graphic novel. Alright, pick number 3. This one was finish or read the next book in a series. So finish a series or read the next book in a series. So, what series? I have plenty of series started. I think we'll pick, this is like working out way better than I anticipated. This was not the way that this picking was supposed to go right now, just so you guys know. I genuinely did not plan this, but I did pick out A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch, which is book 2 in this particular cozy fantasy series. It's not cozy mystery, it's just cozy fantasy. It's very much in the vein of Legends and Lattes, but this is cozy romance. So, it's very small town, kind of Halloween town coded in that the residents are all kind of like paranormal, supernatural beings. It's very normal. This town is kind of like a gathering of many ley lines, and so magical beings are just drawn to it. So there's a higher percentage than like normal that live in this town, called Glimmer Falls. It kind of gives like cozy Vampire Diaries vibes a little bit. The first book was very cute. It was called A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. My only criticism was that it leaned into the cozy while addressing some pretty deep and heavy topics, and it sort of made it seem like these problems are like almost too easy to deal with. I don't know. I liked it. I would read it. I'm gonna read the second book. This came out last year, and this year I think the third book in this series came out, which I just picked up, and then I realized I didn't read the second one yet, so let's read the second one. Since this is a 4, I think those are going to be my 3 that I'm aiming for October. Plus, I wanted to read a classic in October, and I've been meaning to do this for a while, but I keep putting it off. So I think this year is going to be the year I read Dracula. For some reason, maybe I'm leaning more into like the cozy and the like fantasy because it's still so warm out. Like it is unseasonably warm. Because it's normal for it to be very comfortable during the day, like mid-70s, and then at night drop down to like the mid-50s. And this year, it's warm, it's hot. Like I'm sweating in this long sleeve because I think today we hit like 85 or 90 again. It's kind of insane. So as soon as we're done here, like this shirt's coming off because it's the long sleeves are unnecessary right now. But hopefully by the end of October or mid-October, it's cooled off, it feels a little bit more fall vibes, and Dracula has been speaking to me. I don't really know the storyline of Dracula other than it's kind of like the penultimate vampire book. So I feel like I want to read this before I really dive into some of the other well-received vampire literature. I'm talking like A Dowry of Blood or like Interview with a Vampire, or even like, isn't there one called like Dracula's Brides or something like that? I don't know, but I want to have the foundation before I start reading some of the other books to really see how they play on some of the themes that everyone says kind of comes out of this particular story. So we'll do that. So those are my 4 for October. For November, let's draw some more. This gets a little tricky because as soon as November hits, there's like this shift in the air once Halloween is done with that I feel like it shifts away from like the spooky and the magical and leans into the more winter vibes. And in my mind, that means like the epic fantasies, the longer books, the more dense storytelling. So I'm hoping that we get some prompts that we can put some of those on my list because I have been picking up more of them. And I just want to clarify that, like, again, I'm not a big list follower. I may just mess about. I may add books. I may subtract books as I deem necessary, because at the end of the day, reading is a hobby, it's an enjoyment, and if you're not reading something that you want to at the time, then what's the point? Don't force yourself. So, alright, let's pick a couple of books for November. Okay. Alright, perfect. Gothic vibes. I don't know if I have something that screams Gothic vibes. Oh, no, I lied. I do. Okay, this is one that I'm going to reserve the right to change as I see fit, because I'm not sure that this totally fits, but I was thinking Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar. I just said, like, November doesn't scream witchy to me, and this is all about witchy stuff, or it's a historical fantasy that revolves around like the use of magic and witchcraft in Spain, I believe. It's supposed to be very, very good. I've heard a lot of very positive reviews about this book, but I don't know if it qualifies as gothic. The cover just kind of gives me that feeling, and maybe it's just the historical fantasy of it that gives me that feeling. So this one, again, it might be up for revision, but I think it may fit. Next one, let's try to alternate and do a yellow one. a classic. I don't think I want to read classics back to back 2 months in a row. Do I? Maybe Wuthering Heights? Would that be like... Oh, would that count as a gothic? I feel like I'm just reading all of the books from the Nevermore Bookshop series that are referenced in there now at this point. But maybe Wuthering Heights. I did just bring a whole bunch of books back from my parents' house, and some box sets of classics are one of them. So, okay, tentatively, a classic could go for either Dracula or Wuthering Heights. So, the only thing about these books is that the printing or the font is like teeny tiny. So this looks like very unintimidating, like paperback. Oh, like I'll fly through that. No, like, guys, look at how little that writing is. It's so small. This is gonna take me forever. Draw another pink slip. Color wheel cover. Okay, so we have the color wheel. Let's go. And we got green. Okay, interesting. Gosh, I feel like this picks all of the hardest colors. Because I feel like most of my green books I've read already. How is that possible? Do I truly not have a green book? Well, I guess I could reread. See, like, I'm not counting, like, People We Meet on Vacation because the color is actually orange. In the spirit of reading off my shelf and whittling down on the TBR, I think I'm going to read A Heart So Fierce and Broken. I did read, what is it called, the first one? A Curse So Dark and Lonely? Yeah. By Bridget Kemmerer. And it was okay. This is very much a YA series, and what I've been finding more and more, especially lately, is that I'm just not a big YA girly anymore. Which, I mean, fair enough. I've kind of just aged out of it. I guess just it happens, right? So it's like the idea of like teenagers falling in love and making all of these sacrifices for each other just like doesn't speak to me anymore. Give me like a good, mature, like 20-something, 30-something, and I'm there. I'm with you. Or give me like a good coming of age story, but not this like I'm gonna sacrifice anything for this like fellow 17-year-old boy. Back in the day, that was my jam. Loved it. I've now grown out of it. So I've been putting this off because I bought it and I like felt compelled to read it because I don't like on-hauling books I haven't read yet when I've bought them, because then it's like, what's the point? But I also have no compelling desire to read it. So if I read this and I feel meh about it, or I don't feel like continuing the series, I will be able to unhaul 2 books, which will make me feel a lot better. It'll free up some shelf space. I think it's just a win-win if I give this a shot. If I don't read this, I do have 2 other possibilities, which is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, of course, or Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey, which is the first in the Dragon Riders Pern series, the original trilogy, I believe. Say the picking is done. So the other books that are sort of on my radar that I may read are... I'm like really thinking that I'm going to be able to read all the time this month, and I don't know if that's true or not, so we're just gonna play this one by ear just a little bit. But I thought Her Majesty's Royal Coven could be an interesting one. Again, very witchy, very like fall vibes, October vibes, spooky ghosty vibes. Great, love it. The Ornithologist field guide to love would be kind of fun. It sounds very Veronica Speedwell, like Victorian, academic, mystery, lovers to rivals, kind of like Emily Wilde's. Anyway, love those series so far, so why not? I keep trying to get India Holton's first series out, like what's it called? There was like I don't remember off the top of my head. It's something very charming, and they're very like popular books, and so I keep trying to put holds on them on my library, and no joke, I think I've been waiting for over a year to read that book, and then I found this one at half price and said, I'm not even gonna like mess about with trying to get my hands on a library copy of this. I'm just gonna buy it. I'm currently listening to the audiobook of The Book That Wouldn't Burn. I'm on like chapter 8, maybe? I'm actually starting to get intrigued. We finally did get to the library that seems to be depicted on the cover, and it's interesting. It's an intriguing book. I don't know how what seem to be our two main characters are going to meet. I don't really understand their motivations yet, but the world is slowly unfolding. And I shouldn't say slowly. I mean, I'm only on chapter 8, right? I'm probably not even 100 pages in, right? Like, yeah, I'm not even 100 pages in. But it's like unfurling itself in a way that is very interesting. So, and I know the second book came out. This one's calling to me. Because, like, what's better than a magical or, like, sci-fi library? Finally, I'm really torn which one of these to prioritize, to be honest. These are both James Islington, James Islington, I don't know how you pronounce his last name. One of them is The Shadow of What Was Lost, and I'm so psyched because I got the cover that I liked. I found it at half price. The Shadow of What Was Lost is part of the Lycanius trilogy. It is book 1. His new series has been making the rounds on book 2, and it is The Will of the Many, which again sounds so interesting. I don't know whether I want to read The Will of the Many, which seems to be having its moment right now, so I might, or The Shadow of What Was Lost, which honestly, I was gonna say that one sounds more compelling to me, but honestly they both do, so like, we'll see. We'll see what I have time for, because they are chunky books. So, with that, I will see you guys later. I'm gonna check in the next one and let you know what I've picked up first. Bye!